Skipper Jim Hill, KCAL 9 News. First of all, congratulations, and good luck. But I'd like for you to talk about, we all know what the World Series means in the United States when the Yankees and the Dodgers get in it. But what about from a global standpoint? This thing is worldwide.
It is worldwide. I think that's what's going to make this World Series so special, so unique. You could easily argue that on a global scale, the Yankees and the Dodgers are the most followed, the most supported, the most visible. And so obviously with that, those two are two great organizations, and the branding, it's going to be very visible.
Go to Juan on your left, Dave.
Hey, Dave, right here. Just wanted to ask about Vesia and Graterol and some of the injured guys and what their availability will be for the World Series.
So it seems like everyone is trending in the right direction. I think that we're going to have some more difficult conversations, which I think is a good thing. I think Alex threw about 15 pitches yesterday in a sim game, and the stuff looked good. And then Graterol has been throwing. I think he's trending in the right direction. So I think that, on the pitching side, we're in a pretty good spot right now.
And we'll stay on your left. And fourth row, Dave.
Dave, it just seems like the last couple of spring trainings, one of the first questions you're asked is who's the closer, and it's usually the answer is wait and see. How much of that is wait and see, and how much is trying to establish an egoless bullpen and readying guys to be able to pitch in the ninth inning or whatever high leverage situation?
It's, again, Kerry, it's a wait and see. I think that what we've done all year is have certain guys, a handful of guys, finish games, and for me to feel comfortable with those guys. I think that each game is going to be different. I think it's beneficial to not have one dedicated guy because, those guys at the top of the order might see those guys too.
Go to the second row on your left, Doc.
Hey, Dave, just going back to Graterol, how much beyond just the injury do you have to weigh the fact that he just hasn't pitched in a month in a situation like this?
That it's part of the math. I think the other part is his track record in the postseason, how good he's been, how good the heartbeat's been. We believe in the person, the stuff, and so then if it plays out as he's on the roster, then it's more of a decision on when I feel comfortable using him. So I just don't know that answer, but I am hopeful that he's in a good spot right now.
Go 5 rows back on your right, Eric.
Dave, what's the update on Miguel Rojas? How's he doing?
Miggy Rowe is doing well. Yesterday he participated in the entire workout, running well, taking at bats, catching grounders. Everything looks really good. So I think there's a really good possibility we'll see him on the roster.
And then back to the bullpen for a second. If Vesia is added, and I guess maybe even if someone else added, we consider going like almost more bullpen, more short type relievers just to have those options, or is that sort of what you're working through at this moment?
That is certainly what we're working through right now. I don't see it being anything other than 13 and 13. And then to your question about the short versus the length, those are kind of all the conversations we're having, absolutely. But I do think that we have a lot of viable candidates that can, we can match up, we can kind of prepare for whatever scenario. But yeah, there's going to be some tougher conversations for sure.
Go far back on your left, Tyler.
Dave, you guys scored a lot of runs against the Mets and, in general. Besides just the names, the star power, what about your guys' offensive philosophy or approach makes you so dangerous, I guess?
I think Aaron can say the same thing. I think that it's our lineup is very controls the strike zone. We can slug, and the ability to create stress, traffic by way of a walk. We do that as well. And so, when you get 1 through 9, it gets daunting, and it's hard for, a starter to go 3 times through the lineup, and then in a longer series, you're starting to see the same guys again. So all that stuff, starts to benefit, become an advantage for the offense. And so that's kind of overall kind of our approach and trying to scare pitchers out of the strike zone.
Go to the second row on your left, Alden.
It's my turn to ask the annoying question. Is there any possibility of Shohei Ohtani pitching for you in the World Series?
There is no possibility, Alden. None whatsoever. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome. And then also just jumping ahead a little bit with Jack Flaherty, would there be any concern with him coming back on normal rest to pitch the second time in this series, just given how the stuff looked when he pitched normal rest in New York?
Fair question. But I think that, number one, we don't have a different alternative. And number two, we are going to dig into that. As far as kind of the stuff seems like it's been down on regular, but that's kind of the way we set up the rotation. That's just the way it's going to be.
Go to Ron up front on your left.
Earlier, Aaron Boone, talking about knowing you for 30-plus years, went back and said, to make clear, you're a Trojan for life, but a Bruin for 4 years.
Ouch. Ouch, that hurts. Yeah, we go way back. We got a lot of history, but it's all in fun. I got nothing but love and respect for Aaron.
I assume you would disagree with that.
I absolutely disagree, 100%.
And he said when he landed yesterday, he sent you a Yankee emoji.
Yeah, you know what? There was another emoji that I thought about sending him with one finger, but it didn't. It didn't. I just gave a laughing emoji back.
Thank you.
Go to Anthony in the third row.
Hey, Doc. You were talking earlier about this being a global World Series. In Japan in particular, the viewership numbers have been extraordinary for your games. And this has been something you guys saw coming last offseason, of course. What's it been like to see the way it's resonated in Shohei and Yoshinobu's home country?
I think it's a 100th percentile outcome. Obviously, there's a strategy as far as the skill set of the player, then the global impact that it could have on the fan base, the organization, when you acquire two players like that. And so just to see the way that these two guys have performed, the way they've assimilated with our fan base, the clubhouse, all that stuff has been a perfect outcome. And that's part of kind of the math, I'm sure, with Andrew, with Mark Walter, and kind of getting these guys. And I just think that it's going to be a global World Series. I still stand by the fact that more eyeballs going to be watching this series than any other World Series in history.
Second row on your right, Dave.
Hey, Dave. Mookie Betts talked earlier today about how much you've been there for him through the good and the bad times. How much pride do you take in being a manager that doesn't just set lineups, manages bullpens, but also is just there for his players, when they need it, especially now on a stage like this?
It's great to hear that. I really, Mookie, what we've gone through the last handful of years, I really do consider him like a son. I mean, we've had a lot of conversations about life and things like that. And there's just crazy amount of trust between the two of us. And just knowing that I can be there for him and have a little bit of ability to kind of help him along the way. There's a lot of satisfaction in that, and he's just a great young man, and he always wants to do well and do right by others. And I'm one of the happiest people for him that he's kind of, caught fire and kind of showing the world, what he can do on the biggest of stages. So it's a lot of fun.
Fourth row on your right, Russ, then Jack.
Doc, you're always described as a player's manager and somebody who's very personable in the room. I'm curious, what's helped you kind of develop that personality and being somebody that players can trust and can talk to about things both in baseball but outside?
I think part of it is that's who I am. I think I'm a very positive, welcoming guy. I like to learn about people. I played the game. I know how hard the game is. I really appreciate that the game is about the players. But it's still the game, and it's bigger than all of us, and I don't hesitate in letting the players know that, albeit it is still about them in the here and now. And I just try to be their biggest champion. So I think that that's part of why people say that. And Dusty Baker, obviously I have a lot of respect for Dusty. he was, that player's manager. I think Tommy was. I think Terry Francona and guys that I've been around. And it's what, I guess when players see a manager or a head coach pull for them, undoubtedly, that's kind of how you get it, I guess.
We'll finish with Jack, JP, and Daniel. Jack going first.
Real quick, is Joe Kelly somebody that's an option to be considered at all this week?
Not to start. I don't think she's still throwing and ramping up, but I think at the outset of when we set the roster, I don't think Joe's a candidate right now.
And then how similar did this week look to like the bye week going into the DS for you guys and trying to, kind of keep the momentum going?
It was similar in the sense that we needed it. I think the DS break before the DS was very much needed as far as kind of the reset, the health. And I think this kind of was very comparable. There wasn't any baseball to watch, so we didn't have any watch parties here with the players, so that was a little different. But I think that overall, the psyche and the preparation for this series is kind of, we're in the same spot.
We'll go to JP and then Daniel.
Hey, Dave, on that note, when you think back to the beginning of the month, those 5 days, both you and the Yankees overcame that dreaded 5-day layoff this month. And I'm wondering, when you think back, was it the watch parties, was it the getting healthy, or was it maybe just playing more meaningful games in September that made the biggest difference this year compared to years past?
I think all of the above. I think to get Freddie playable in that series was huge. I think having the watch parties and having the guys kind of spend time together and sacrifice some time with their family, I thought was beneficial to the group. And then I think that, as we played all the way through September, meaningful games, I thought kept that edge and didn't let us take off the gas. So I think all of that played a factor in us, getting off to a decent start. But to be fair, we're still down 2-1 in that division series, so, if we don't win game 4, that would all been for naught anyway. So it's a good story right now.
Go to Daniel in the back row.
Hey, Dave, if I remember correctly, you speak some Spanish. Is it possible for you to talk about Fernando Valenzuela in Spanish, just about his legacy? Just try. It would be much appreciated. Or Spanglish.
Fernando Valenzuela era mi muy amigo primero y familia. Yo siento que Fernando era, es posible un hermano mayor. Él era un jugador increíble, una persona, es muy importante a mí. Yo le extraño por vida. Yo espero por feliz, contento con su familia. Gracias.
Well done, and certainly thinking of Fernando and his family right now. And we'll finish up in the first row here.
Going back to the UCLA USC thing, what's your memory of Aaron Boone and playing against him in that rivalry?
Aaron, gritty, tough, pull power, baseball body, pedigree. He was just a good competitor. And so he played that way when he got to the big leagues, same gritty, grindy type player. And, so that's kind of what I see in him. It's crazy to kind of see where we're at right now, playing at Jackie Robinson Stadium back in the day or at Dado Field, and to kind of see that we're on the biggest of stages. It's mind blowing.
Doc, thanks so much.
All right, thanks, guys.